I'm content creator Joey Garrity, the founder of Superstar Entrepreneurs Digital Media Hub and Joey G113. I'm dedicated to empower entrepreneurs by sharing tools, tips, and resources to help you get more influence and success on my show, Superstar Entrepreneur Spotlight with Joey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Superstar Entrepreneurs Spotlight with Joey. I'm so glad that you're here. I have an amazing guest today. You know you're in the right place if you are here to learn how to become a sought-after speaker with CEO of SpeakerHub, Ron Story Jr. I got introduced to him through AJ, who was on my last show, and he's fantastic. If you haven't caught that show, please do. He dropped so many gems and diamonds in that show. Okay, so just a little bit more about me is my name is Joey Garrity. I'm a content creator and the founder of Superstar Entrepreneurs Digital Media and Joey G113. And also you can catch us on my YouTube channel, Superstar Entrepreneurs. And we have everything there so you can do what you do and love best. And that is just learn more about how you can take your entrepreneur journey to the next level. And you can learn more about me here at Joey G113. All right, I'm going to bring up Ron from the green room. So just a little bit about Ron Story Jr. is he's a dynamic entrepreneur, speaker, and coach, and the CEO of SpeakerHub based in Medellín, Colombia. Ron has a passion for helping speakers to get booked on more stages. Do we not love that? Every speaker wants to get booked on more stages. I'm bringing him up from the green room. He has so much to share. Hi, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today, Joey?
Good, good, good. I'm so glad that AJ introduced us, and I'm so glad that you're here today. I want to jump right in because you talk a little bit about that you had been helping book speakers, and then you came up with a system. And I
Mhm.
think that your system is brilliant. Can you share a little bit more about that system?
Yeah, so I have worked with over 1,000 speakers directly, reaching out as their booking agent over the last 6 years. Recently in June, we bought SpeakerHub. And at SpeakerHub, we have 63,000 customers that use our software and our services to build their speaking careers. And what I realized was that those speakers that were at SpeakerHub didn't have the insight that I had learned from working as a booking agent for those 1,000 other speakers. So, what we created was a system called the Speaker Flywheel. And the Speaker Flywheel is probably the only repeatable system that will get speakers booked on podcasts, paid speaking gigs, and press. So, what you need is you need to be able to generate inbound leads, meaning be findable when someone is searching for you. Now, that helps you get on the stages where you're wanted. But what about getting on the stage that you want to be on? That's where we do outbound outreach to over 4 million opportunities that we have in our database, which are 3.5 million podcasts, 45,000 conferences worldwide, 209,000 local associations, and about 173,000 journalists. So we give you access to be able to get that flywheel moving so that nobody could ever tell you no again.
Well, I love that, and that's such a like a superstar fan moment there that because you were doing this for others, then you're like, you know what, I'm going to create a system so that I can be of service and I can really help people go to the next level. Because here's really is interesting in your superstar entrepreneur share here is talking about how it was your job to pitch, but what you realized was that you were pitching, but people weren't really getting what they wanted the speakers on the other side. And so you created the system for us.
Yeah. So basically what happened is that by pitching for some of the top speakers in the world, you get to observe what they're doing that's different,
Right.
right? So if two speakers walk into a room, one is always getting booked, the other one is never getting booked. There's usually no middle ground. And on the outside, they appear to both be doing the same things, but they're not. It's the intention in which they're doing it. So I hear speakers all the time say, well, I get on podcasts, but in reality, they're not using that podcast to get a speaking gig. And then they're not using that small stage to get a bigger speaking gig. And that's what starts the entire flywheel process is using smaller stages to get larger stages. And that was the only difference. Tony Robbins this year at the early in February when he released his latest book, he did 240 podcast interviews within 60 days of the release of his book,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
So if as well known as Tony Robbins is, why
Right.
is he still going on podcasts?
Sure.
because he knows it's the great way to get recognized. In the presidential election this year, there were 5 people that were thanked on stage during the acceptance speech for the president elect. All 5 of them were podcasters: Joe Rogan, the Nelk Boys, Theo Vaughn, and about, I think it was 2 other podcast shows that were directly thanked during the president acceptance, not NBC, ABC, CBS,
Right.
right? So the
It's
world used to be controlled by megaphones. Now it's controlled by
Yes.
microphones, right? And I think the speakers that understand and appreciate that will always have an advantage.
Well, that's such a roll out the red carpet moment there, and I totally agree with you. I come from Hollywood. I worked down there for 20 plus years, and the writing's on the wall, right? That's why I jumped into this arena. I love video podcasting, and I know it is the future, right, of where we're all heading, right? Because you can talk to people on a more emotional level, but also you can niche your audience as well. And you can also organically be selling simultaneously while you're giving back value.
Yeah. Well, I think selling is about building trust,
Yeah.
right? And it's basically, selling is building trust with a person that gives them the confidence that they can take the next step without harm, right? So I don't have to pitch anybody on here our products and service. All I need to do is to make sure that I'm giving you legit information that can help you to comfortably take the next steps with us if you believe it's the right steps for you to take.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I just think that's such a it's so true. And I love your tip here when you talk about more offers. No one has ever gone out of business because they asked too many people to buy their products and services.
Yeah, it's a
Your
fact.
tip is so good. I was like, okay, he needs to expand on this. I know exactly what you're talking about, like, but let's hit the nail on the head.
Well, so basically, a lot of times what happens is we just, we always hear you need to, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Well,
Yes.
most of us are likable and we're trustworthy. We're
Right.
just unknown, right? So we're
Right.
not telling enough people that we sell stuff. I was listening to this one guy, and he's pretty well known. He sold more than 1 million copies of his last book. And the book has 26,000 5-star reviews.
Oh wow.
And he said something very interesting. He said, "Do you know I still meet people who don't know that I've written 3 books?"
Right.
Now, he has 26,000 5-star reviews and has sold 1 million copies. But guess what? There's still 8 million people, 8 billion with the B, people who don't know he exists, right? So I think we just need to tell more people about what we do. It's not that we're not good, it's that we're unknown, and make
Yeah.
more offers.
You know what? I so agree with that. A big part of my branding is out there is about visibility and influence, right? And I tell people all the time, I said, that's what sells products and services. They don't care what you're selling. They have to know your name, right? Again, another reason why I'm a huge fan of video podcasting, right? For face recognition, right?
Mhm.
And you can be everywhere. And then I love the interview format because I get to have people like yourself on that has like the best shares because I think that
Well,
is
well,
so
I think, people misunderstand what you mean by exposure and
helpful.
getting known. If we just put your photo up here with you with your beautiful smile and you never talked, it's not as effective as if you actually shared a message. And a lot of times we want to get publicity. Oh, I ran an ad and it was just a photo. I posted on Instagram. But you
Right.
got to be talking. You got to be asking people to do one of 3 things. So I believe that sales happen in 3 ways. Number one is advertising, which means making people aware, right? The second part is marketing, meaning asking those who are aware of what you do if they're interested in it. And the
Uh,
third part is those asking those who raise their hand saying that they're interested, asking them to pay you to take the next step. Most people are very good at making people aware because there's no rejection there,
yes.
right? So if you think of a company that's very good at that, Budweiser. Budweiser just puts up billboards because they already have a product that people are going to walk in the store and pull off the shelf.
Yes.
I've never put speaking gigs in a gas station freezer. So it don't work that way. So I gotta say, hey, do you want me to help you to get more speaking gigs? Raise your hand. And they raise their hand. And then I say, come meet with us and we'll show you how to do that. But until we can put speaking gigs in a gas station freezer, I
Right.
probably should do calls to action instead of just putting up billboards.
It's so true. It's so true. I wanted to share my share here. As an international speaker who has graced countless stages, I've learned that the key to captivating your audience is sharing stories that create emotional connections, and to do that right off the bat, right the front end, because we've all been on those stages where people are out there on their phones and they're pretending like they're taking notes and they're just checked out. Well, create an emotional connection and tell a story on the front end and have everyone lean in, and that will change the entire dynamic for you while you're up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think my last name is Story, right?
Oh,
So if
nice.
I suck at telling stories, I got a problem, right? So I think engagement, the best thing about telling stories is that if you tell your own stories,
Yeah.
nobody can argue with you about them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you can't argue about me growing up in East St. Louis and now living in Medellín, Colombia. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
And no matter how many people want to disagree with it, it's the path that I've taken. So I think sharing more stories about your lived experiences
Yeah.
is the key to having a huge effect. And if you don't have any cool stories, go do something cool and then tell the story,
Well,
right?
when I first came out of Hollywood, when I first left Hollywood, I was met someone who's a famous speaker, and she said, "You should talk about Hollywood." I'm like, "I don't want to. I just did that for 20 years, right?" And she's like, "But that's interesting, right?" And so what I do is I always start a story with a signature Hollywood story of what I learned, what I took away from that, right? To help people emotionally connect out there, to know that everyone is a superstar. It's not a necessarily talent, it's letting people know who you are, right?
Mhm.
And that's absolutely what you've been talking about. I just want to quickly share a tip here, and it's like make sure that there's tangibles in your keynote when you're speaking out there so that people can take away. That way you're on top of mind, but also too people know you're the expert and there's a trust like with you, and you'll get more clients that way. Right. And so what you're talking about is you're talking about your system and how it's the know, like, and trust around your system so that people know that they're available, but also that they can trust them to put them on their stage.
Yep. Well, because every event planner is putting their job on the line when they hire you,
Yeah.
right? So my thing is I have to be event planner insurance. I
Right.
need to give them all the trust factors before they make a decision so that they know I'm not going to come on and embarrass them. And what I hope is that I can over deliver more than what they expected. So they may have gotten this guy that they thought, well, he's just going to come on and talk like this. And they're like, wait a minute, he was more entertaining than what I expected. So my job is to be heartfelt, be entertaining, but also be action oriented. Meaning, I'm going to challenge you to take the next steps. And I think that's really, 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 really important.
Yeah, I do too, Ron. I so appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for dropping all those gems and diamonds for us. I really like your attitude too about like more is more. Like let people know, like and around your and I love your attitude around like rejection doesn't matter, right? It's just like you got to ask her how are you gonna move the needle, really, right?
When they say no, you're never going to see them again anyway. So why do they
And so
matter?
who cares? So who cares? I love that attitude. It's
Like,
such a good attitude.
you know, I mean, I always I'll tell a funny story. I grew up before there was internet dating, right? When I grew up and I had to go and talk to someone that I was interested in, they couldn't screenshot the text message
Right.
and show it on the internet. Nowadays, with internet dating, they screenshot you. He tried to say this to me. Can you believe it? I just got to walk away, right? So my level of courage is a bit higher because I wasn't built in with this fear that I would be publicly shamed. Well,
Exactly.
here's the great thing about being in the professional speaking business. I don't know any event planners who are publicly shaming speakers for wanting to be on their stage. I don't
Exactly.
know any podcasters. Like today, real story. I got a message from Joey yesterday saying, I'm excited to have you on. Wait, we got a podcast tomorrow. Oh, crap. Now, I didn't believe that she would publicly shame me saying Ron wasn't even ready. He didn't have it on his calendar.
No.
No, that's not how it works. We're two mature adults. We worked it out,
Oh, yeah.
right? She offered another time and we were able to get it fixed.
Yeah.
I just have to have faith that the event planners that I'm pitching to speak at their events or to be on their podcast or to write for their magazines, they're a mature adult also. That's reasonable. And if they find value in what I do, we'll always find a mutual beneficial way to work together. So let's remove the fear that they're going to egg us and tar and feather us and show our rejection letters. Hey, I look at all these speakers I rejected this month. They're not doing that. So just pitch more people.
I love that, Ron. I so appreciate you. I love you. I love you. Love you. I'm going to drop you down in the green room. Grab yourself a mocktail, and thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Isn't he great? I had to have him on the show. I was just like, so many gems and diamonds. I knew we're going to be dropped today. Please, please, please join me for another episode every other Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Coast time. You know how to find me on social media and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until next time, I love you. I love you. I love you. And remember, it's literally your birthright to shine bright out there and take your business to the next level, everyone. Until then, I say bye-bye. You can learn more about me, my services, and products at joeyg113.com. Make sure to join me every week for a new episode on the Superstar Entrepreneurs YouTube channel.